Who is God? We are the image and likeness of God, we have a spirit. God also has a spirit, hence the biblical expression, "You are the temple of the Holy Spirit and the Spirit of God." Who dwells in you, proves that the Holy Spirit is the very Spirit of God. Do you not know that your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit who is in you? Who has been given to you by God? 1 Corinthians chapter 6:19. NVI. Do you not know that you are the temple of God and that the Spirit of God dwells in you? 1 Corinthians chapter 3:16. NVI. What would God be like? You know, matter is condensed energy, so we can say they are the same thing, in a different state. So if God is spirit, it would possibly be an energetic body that is trillions and trillions of times enlarged, but if condensed, we would see a physical body, the image and likeness of man. In the case of Christ, he has all the likeness of God, but he is not equal to God, he does not compare to the power of God, so much so that he himself said, "The Father is greater than me," and on the cross he asked the Father to glorify him with the power he had with God, before the world was. Angels have the same likeness as Christ. But it does not compare to the power of Christ, for he said, that the Father had given him all power in heaven and on earth, and that this power would be returned to him after the 1,000 years. For the same Son would submit to God, so that God may be all in all. Then Jesus came to them and said, "All authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me." Matthew chapter 28:18. NVI. But when all things are subject to him, then the Son himself will be subject to him who 1 Corinthians chapter 15:28. NVI. How does the Spirit of God or the Holy Spirit work? Or in the form of tongues of fire, or in the form of the bush that burned with fire in the wilderness, so that we mortals could have faith that God was at work. This does not mean that the Spirit of God was present there in person, but the spiritual waves of God's own Spirit, or Holy Spirit, was materializing to give us a sign of God's working and approval. Matter and energy are the same thing, just in different states. So God, who is trillions and trillions of times magnified, we cannot see it as it is in the state of spiritual energy. God is all and is beyond all and is all, for nothing can be beyond God, not even infinity. God, who encompasses everything, the galaxies, infinite space and all life in heaven and on earth, is a living being and has a spirit called the Holy Spirit. They are one, indivisible and infinite, both in power as well as in dimension. The Spirit of God, our Holy Spirit, with its spiritual waves, can materialize universes, beings, and everything you want to imagine, and it doesn't need 7,000 years, but it can create in 7 days or even in 7 seconds. For us this may seem impossible. But is there something impossible for God? We were created in the image and likeness of God. We are formed of atoms, which is a miniature of a solar system. If we enlarged the atoms in our bodies until they reached the size of a solar system, we would see the universe. If we reduced the solar systems that make up the universe to the size of the atoms of our body, we would see God, in the same form as man, because we are his image and likeness, and vice versa. Angels and Christs follow the same format. They are parallel universes. They are interconnected by the Holy Spirit of God and act through this Spirit, which gives life to this set. The Holy Spirit, who is the very Spirit of God, who gives life to the body of God, which is the universe, to communicate with us human beings, can materialize in the form of angels, tongues of fire, or as in the baptism of Jesus, in the form of a dove. This is possible through the propagation of spiritual waves that materialize physically or in phenomena. As in the case of strange languages, spoken by the apostles.